That was the first time my younger daughters heard about it. The older ones didn't really. I didn't speak about it at all. I didn't mention it at all, as if it didn't exist. Also, at that chapter of my life, which was a very long chapter, I didn't feel that I was how do you call it, survivor. I always thought that a survivor is somebody that was in Auschwitz. Somebody who has been in Auschwitz is a survivor. I didn't consider myself a survivor of the Holocaust. It dawned on me much later that I am a survivor of the Holocaust, with all that goes with it. Much later in my life, really much later in my life, I would say it happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, not before. On one of my sabbaticals, I'm a teacher. On one of my sabbaticals, I decided to do a course at Yad Vashem. And that is when I really started to get involved, I would say, with the Holocaust again. Since then, I'm always in touch with Yad Vashem. I did a few courses at Yad Vashem. I did a course also of hadracha for teenagers, for schools, and I also took schools a while, but then I stopped. I enjoyed the course itself. I didn't like the hadracha itself because I don't think Yad Vashem do it properly. First of all, I was too busy. I was teaching full time, and I did that also. But the way that Yad Vashem expects the madrichim to do it, to take 3 classes in one morning, and to do again and again and again the same thing, that's something that I couldn't do. I did it a few times, and I said, no, I can't do it. It takes too much out of me. In any case, I think it's wrong. I don't think anyone should do it that way, because then it becomes, I don't know, it's not what it should be. But anyhow, I always take visitors. I've got many friends from overseas, and I always take them to Yad Vashem, to Bikat HaKehilot, I go with my classes. I'm always involved with Yad Vashem. Then another thing happened. My brother also did a course of survivors at Yad Vashem, more or less at the same time, and he was taped in Yad Vashem on a videotape. And I took this tape to look at it. I looked at it by myself, and it really did something. It moved me a lot. First of all, I learned things that I didn't know. So I didn't know. He was 5 years, he was 5 years older than me, which already made him 10 when I was 5 when it started. It's a different thing. From the age that we came to Israel, I remember perfectly everything. I was his age when the Holocaust, when we got involved in the Holocaust in Italy. And I decided then that I will have an evening for the whole family here. We had an evening here, the whole family, and my children, their spouses, my brother's children and their spouses. I also had here 2 grandchildren who were already at an age that could understand. My cousin, the one that looked after me, and her children. My mother was still alive. And we sat here, and one of my children suggested that we should videotape this meeting. But I was very skeptic because it was a video where he only talks. And I didn't know how it's going to be accepted by the children. And also at the beginning they asked and they said, oh, is it only talking? There is no, how they want to see things. So I really wasn't sure how is it going to be. And it was an unbelievable evening. And it was quite a few years ago. And I really, all the time I said to myself, I must do it again because the grandchildren have grown in the meantime. And some didn't come because they couldn't. I remember my sister-in-law, my other sister-in-law also came with her children. That brother of mine that I told you that was born in Switzerland, he was killed in the war of partition here, but he's got two children here, his wife and 2 children here, and they also came. And whenever one of the children, so it was really the first time that my children, their children, heard the story, and every time they wanted to ask something, we stopped the video, which was very easy, and they asked questions, and my mother could tell, my brother could tell, my cousin could tell, I could tell. Each one gave his own view. Yes, for example, they said, they asked, the interviewer asked my brother, how did you feel then, without your parents and so on, and each one of us gave our view. And I remember we stayed here till 1 o'clock, in the morning. And the children didn't stop, children, they were already big men, they didn't stop asking questions. And for example, that part that I told you that how come that we came to Israel, that the doctor told my father that Jerusalem's air would be very good, that I learned during that evening from my mother. It was the first time I heard it. And since then, now I'm more, it's very strange because I am more in touch with my grandchildren about this whole story than with my children. I don't talk to my children so much about it, I talk to my grandchildren. I've got 2 grandchildren as well, and I remember already when one of them was in Kita Gimel, and he had to write the story, the little child. So I told him the story and he wrote it, and he read it in class. No, he gave it to the teacher, and the teacher asked him if his grandmother could come and tell her story to the class. So I came to the school and I told the story to his class and to the older one's class, and he said he came home, I can't remember, it was Nagin or whatever, and he came home and he said, Mommy, even a fly could have been heard, it was so quiet and everybody was listening. So it's very interesting that up till a few years ago, when I say a few years, it might have been 10 years. Up till 10 years ago, I never told anybody. At school, my friends didn't know. I don't know how it started that they got to know about it. Maybe when I went to Yad Vashem, and because people were amazed, and they said, and then they told me, other teachers said, well, why don't you tell your pupils? And up till then, I never spoke to my pupils about it. since then I always tell my pupils about it. It is, I don't know, it's like, maybe it was like a defense mechanism, because when I came to Israel, and for many years afterwards, the survivors were not looked upon in Israel by the Sabarim in the way they are looked upon now. A lot was said and written at that stage. In those years, I came in 49 and so on. A lot was said about Muvalim Katzon Latevach, like blaming the people that it happened to them. And I suppose I wasn't too proud of, I didn't think it was something, it might also be, I suppose it's not only me, I suppose it's most, I suppose, people of my generation wanting to be like the Israelis, like the Tzabari. We felt that, I'm not going to say we, I felt, as I told you, I felt I'm different, that not only different, but less. Not different, you can be less or more, different less. Because they did not look upon the survivors with in a good way. Maybe it was their feeling of guilt. Maybe. But it was the general thing, that Muvalim Katzon Latevach. I mean, we, the Israelis, we are so brave. We are, we fight against the Arabs, and we fought this, and we fought this, and we fought this. And how come these Jews there in the diaspora allowed the Germans to do that to them? I suppose not enough was known about it, but that was the general feeling, and I suppose that's why I never, I wanted to be like an Israeli, like all Israelis, like all my friends, brave, and being a survivor was not brave.
Do you remember when you heard that? That attitude, or how you heard it?
Well, first of all, I told you what one of my girlfriends said. And she was the daughter of two German doctors that fled from Germany, but much before, yes? So they were the brave ones because they fled. But that was the general, in the newspapers, in the books, that was the general attitude. That Muvalim Katzon Latevach. That was the general attitude for years and years and years and years. I suppose Yad Vashem changed it with the years and with the stories that came out. It was all these things. But that was the attitude for years. The Tzabari, the Israelis, were a few steps above. They were brave. They were fighting. The Jews in Europe did not fight. The thing that the understanding of the whole process took years. It took years, even for us. I learned it at Yad Vashem. The dehumanization, the way that the Germans did it, it took years to understand. I don't blame the Sabarim of that time. I suppose if I would have been here, I would have thought the same. And maybe I thought the same, and that's why I was ashamed. Because I didn't know any better. I only learned about the whole process and the whole history in Yad Vashem. And you can see it also from the fact that the Shoah, the Holocaust, is studied at schools now. It's part of the history. look, it's normal. It's a normal process. We were too near it. And you can't see history when you're so near it. And also, it was too near emotionally. It was too near emotionally. And also, what I feel now, this is, this in this chapter is, and I work with kids in Kita Tet, 15. And for them it is history. And I feel that history, when you read it from a book, doesn't mean too much. Okay, it's not objective history. The Jews had such a lot of history of suffering. It's another chapter of suffering. And maybe that's how it should be, and maybe that's how it will be. But I feel that my generation is the last generation of the survivors. Yes, I was born in 38. How many more people after me are survivors? There aren't. So I feel that if they hear it, it makes more of an impression than if they just read it in books. And this is the stage where I'm now, that I feel I'm very much involved, and I think it's very important, and I feel whatever is done at school with Yad Vashem and the Holocaust, I'm involved in it. And I feel that the young generation should know, not only know it, but learn a lesson from it, or many lessons. Learn many lessons from it. Not to allow it to happen ever again. As long as the state of Israel exists, it will not happen. And B, to keep the state of Israel and to be good human beings, not racists in any way. It's very interesting. I've just been reading yesterday a book in Italian. The word Hebrew, la parola ebreo, written by a non-Jewish woman who was a little girl at that stage, and she tells, from her point of view, when did she first hear the word Jewish? She had Jewish neighbors. How did she learn about racism and all that from Italy, from the other side? It's very, very, very interesting. And I was thinking about it, how I hope very much, although in some parts of the world we see that it's not like this, but I hope so much that racism really will not exist in this world, because really the Jews in Italy were exactly like all the others, and she says she herself, she was so amazed that because this child that was playing with her brother beforehand, because he's a Jew, he's different, and his racism is a terrible thing, and it exists still, and this is one thing that we should change, we should learn to change. This is one lesson that we should learn from the Holocaust. I don't know if we have learned it. I don't know. So that's actually what I can think of the different chapters in my life.
People speak about it with brother, your family.
About these feelings? No?
Or about the past as well? I mean, until you started speaking.
No. Just a second. You asked if I spoke about it with my brother. With my brother, it happened a few times that we were involved together with Yad Vashem. For example, also there was a time when they asked my brother to say a few words at Yad Vashem about our Kehila in Fiume. But again, because he doesn't speak English and it was an English-speaking group, I came, he was there together with me, and he helped me write whatever I wanted to say about all these institutions in the Kehila. But with my brother, mainly I speak about history, the historical facts and the dates, because he remembers that and I don't. And I ask him also, who helped this and who was this and who was that. But about feelings, no, we don't. We don't. With my mother, I also didn't speak about feelings. With my cousin, yes, a little bit. Maybe because we were very close. She just passed away recently. We were very close. But maybe, so again, it's something that I'm just thinking about it now. Because you're asking me questions that I never thought about. Why? Maybe because our young childhood taught us not to feel. But about these things, thank God, I do feel, I have feelings, and I'm a very warm and feeling person. But this is like something that you don't touch too much. Maybe, I don't know, but no, only in cases like this, you're a stranger. And it's something, it's study and so on. I allow myself. I don't. My mother also, I never spoke about feelings. I don't know. You see, it's interesting. It didn't harm me as a person. It's just that is a different part of life. It's a different thing altogether. It's like, the book that Katzetnik wrote, what was it called? The other planet. Yeah. The other planet. That's another planet. That's something else.
Do you feel that? You feel it?
Yes.
Is there integration?
Yes. It's yes. I definitely feel it. It's something else. It's definitely.
You feel a different part of yourself.
I don't know. It's a bad part. It's a bad part. It's an unhappy part. So you don't want to touch and dwell upon an unhappy part. Well, that's me. I'm an optimistic. I always look at the glass, the half-filled glass. So why touch an unpleasant part? Okay, historically we can talk about it and so on. It wasn't pleasant. Goodbye. The rest of my life was good. Thank God. So, that's it.
what's interesting about the survivor identity, where do you think you got the idea that the survivor was an Auschwitz survivor? And when did you feel that you...
I'll tell you why. I think because when I came to Israel, and during all those years, the Auschwitz survivors were alive. They are dying now, or they are dead already. Yes, because I mean, a child my age could have never survived Auschwitz. Yes, so they were the main part. The Auschwitz survivors, the camp survivors, and the Auschwitz survivors were mainly noticed because, I mean, Auschwitz first of all was one of the biggest camps, and second they had them now. And they were the main survivors. Who were the survivors? The Auschwitz survivors. They were filmed, they were noticed, they were the survivors. They underwent such terrible sufferings that I always felt what I went through was nothing by comparison to what they went through. That I could have been taken to Auschwitz at any given minute. I didn't think about it. I thought about what happened to me. That my cousin's shoes finished in Auschwitz. And I didn't. Because my Italians that were taken finished in Auschwitz. It never occurred to me then. Now I know it. I always felt that by comparison to what these Auschwitz survivors went through, what did I have to speak about? Being in a convent, being in hiding, going through the Alps by night, it wasn't... Also, you know, the tendency in those days, nothing, until quite recently was to talk about the horrors of Auschwitz and the camps. And now the tendency is not to talk about the horrors. As little as possible to discuss the Holocaust and what happened. You don't have to dwell on the horrors. And you know that I remember very well when there was a debate in the Knesset about reparations and what went on here. I lived it. I was here. I can't remember how old I was. But I was at the age where I understood. I read the papers and you know, next opposite the Knesset, in the middle of the city, in King George, cars were burnt and overturned, and I'll never forget. I read in the newspaper that one woman that had here the number went into a shop and bought something. I think it was sugar, and it was written on it that came from Germany. And she went into fits of, and all these things were written in the papers. So that's why I felt that mine is very which is still true. But today, those that live are children like me that were children that were in hiding, because a child like me would have never survived if it wasn't in hiding. Children who were in the streets, and children who were in hiding. That's always got the survivors. Very few. There are some Auschwitz survivors still, but very few. Only those that were very young and could, could pass as workers. I know, I have got a friend who Auschwitz survivor, but she was, I think she was 16 at the time, also from Hungary, and also from Hungary they were also sent to Auschwitz at a later stage, not like from Poland from the beginning, they didn't survive so much. She was 16 at that stage, or she was 16 at the end of the war, which was a big difference, it was 43 to 45, so. But there are too many because less than